Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about albums where the hit is the track you skip. So growing up in Southern California as a teenager, there were three major stations I listened to. I listened to 94.7 KMET, I listened to 95.5 KLOS, which are basically just rock stations. This is prior to classic rock radio. And then I listened to the alternative station KROQ FM 106.7. So KMET, KLOS, KMET was a little more freeform. KLOS pretty much stayed to the same kind of playlist, pretty much, right? And, it was the usual assortment of tracks that you would hear all the time, Green Grass and High Tides Forever by the Outlaws, Stairway to Heaven, Free Bird, Layla, blah, 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 etc., right? There was a song that I liked at one time, but it suffered from too much exposure, and that is Jethro Tull's Aqualung. I love this album. I really do. I think I'm not a huge Jethro Tull fan. I don't really listen to anything past, I don't know, maybe War Child or maybe Songs from the Wood. But I think this is one of their best solid albums. What I really love about this album are these little interludes before other songs start. Songs like Cheap Day Return, Wondering Aloud, and Slipstream. I love those three little interludes. And then, of course, like Cross-Eyed Mary, I love Mother Goose, Up to Me, My God, Hymn 43, Locomotive Breath, Wind Up. But Aqualung, I never need to hear again. I think it was just way overexposed on, even before classic rock radio, before everything became like the same 100 songs, every station, classic rock station. This song was played to death even before that format. And I loved it at one time. I love the guitar playing on it. I love the guitar sound, but it's just, I don't know. I can't sit through 6 minutes of this for like the bazillionth time, but this is definitely a tune that I skip. I pretty much start the album with Cross-Eyed Mary, and I have no regrets. So Aqualung is one I skip from Jethro Tull from 1971. Another track, though it was only mainly played on alternative radio like KROQ and maybe some college radio, I don't think it's one of their best songs, and it's probably one of their biggest hits here in the States, and it's XTC, and it's the song Dear God, which originally was not on Skylarking. The song was recorded during the sessions for Skylarking and was produced by Todd Rundgren. But the single Grass was released with the flip side of Dear God. Some DJ, somewhere in the Midwest, I believe, flipped the Grass single over to Dear God, started playing it, and started getting a lot of exposure and a lot of, just a lot of good reviews. Also bad reviews, too. It was a very controversial song, but this is an original version of Skylarking from 1986, and it has the song Mermaid Smiled on it. To me, this is the definitive version of Skylarking. I think Mermaid Smiled fits way in with the concept of the album of Skylarking than Dear God. The whole album is about, the changings of the seasons and the pastoral feeling and etc. And I don't think Dear God has ever fit on this album. I think it works as a standalone single. But then as soon as the single started getting airplay and people started requesting it, they got rid of Mermaid Smiled, took it off the album. And then on future releases like the CD version they released, Mermaid Smile was knocked off, put on a compilation called Ragbone Buffet that was released in 1990. And then for years, this was the version you would hear, the version without Mermaid Smile, the version with Dear God. And again, I just never thought it really fit the whole concept of the album. But then years later, and I would skip it. I would skip Dear God and go on to the next song. But then years later, when the XTC catalog switched over to Ape, the Ape label owned by Andy Partridge, they included Mermaid Smile on this, but also Dear God. So to this day, I still press skip Dear God. I don't think it has ever fit on this album, and I love Mermaid Smile. So another one, Dear God, I press it. It's not that I think it's a bad song. I just think it's, compared to the complete XTC output, I don't think it's one of their great tracks. So anyway, Another one I press, skip, is Dear God, and I'd rather listen to Mermaid Smiled. Another one, I've heard it a bazillion times. I can't sit through the jam anymore. It's Light My Fire. One of my all-time favorite bands, The Doors. Heard it way too many times. I'll listen to this album. It'll get to Alabama Song. And I will just switch it straight to Backdoor Man. Now, saying that about Light My Fire, I still love the single release. All 2 minutes and 52 seconds of it. I just like to hear the meat and potatoes of the song at this point. I mean, the first couple hundred times I heard Light My Fire, the long version, loved it. I just can't listen to that jam anymore. I love the meat and potatoes. I love the way, I just want to get to the ending, to tell you the truth, with that scream by Morrison. And I love the real compact version. I think they did a real good editing job. A lot of people would probably disagree with this, but this is why this song was such a huge hit, was the single version. It's a great freaking tune, even without all the instrumentation and jamming. So another one I skip over, Light My Fire off the Doors' debut album. Heard it way too many times. Another song that's as epic as it is and amazing as it is, it's suffered for me for too much exposure over the years. So Light My Fire, The Doors. The Stones, Rolling Stones. I think this is one of their most underpraised 1970s albums. Some people rate this lower than Tattoo You. I listened to Tattoo You the other day, and though I think it's a good album, I think the second half is kind of weak. There's a lot of slow songs, a lot of lethargic kind of feeling on that second half of Tattoo You. This album, I think, is really, really fantastic. And you got stuff like Fingerprint File, Tom Waits for No One, even Ain't Too Proud to Beg, the cover song, If You Can Rock Me, but I never need to listen to It's Only Rock and Roll Again. When it comes to Stones singles, Stones hits, this one to me is kind of like bottom tier, especially the outro. It's so repetitive, but this is another one I just skip when I hear it. I've heard it way too many times. There's too many other great songs on here, like Short and Curly's, that I'd rather listen to. So another example, It's Only Rock and Roll. That one I just skip every time I listen to this particular album. I love this album, by the way. Came out in 1974. I think it's very underpraised. Anyway, onward. The next one, The Police, the Regatta de Blanc album. I guess you know what I'm talking about. Message in a Bottle. There was a time where I loved this track back in 79, 80, but another song that's just suffered from too much exposure. And again, the outro too is very repetitive. It goes on. It could have needed a little editing. I love this record though. The Police, I don't think ever really put out a really bad record. They put out some fine stuff. I love some of these, like, kind of these deep cuts on here, like The Bed's Too Big Without You, that really cool reggae beat. On Any Other Day is kind of a fun song. The song Regatta de Blanc is fantastic. I mean, the whole album is really good, but I just skip over Message in a Bottle. I can't hear it anymore. Can't hear it anymore. The Police, Message in a Bottle, a song I skip off Regatta de Blanc from 1979. The fifth album by Blur. I've really gotten into Blur the past year. I think they are absolutely brilliant. But I never need to listen to song number 2 again. If you're wondering what song number 2 is, well, just go to any sporting event and you will hear it. Woohoo! Woohoo! You know what I'm talking about, right? To me, a bottom tier song for Blur for me. I love the rest of this album. It is fantastic. Beetle Bum, MOR. I mean, every track on here is fantastic. But by the time it gets to right after Beetle Bum, song number 2 comes on, I just skip right over to what is that? Country Sad Ballad Man, or something like that. Fantastic album all the way through. But song number 2, even with all the airplay and the sporting events, I've never liked the song. And I never even knew it was Blur back in the day. I thought it was somebody kind of imitating Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I think it was kind of a parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit. They were just kind of taking the piss out of that track. But can't listen to it. And another track I skip. But the rest of the album, I freaking love. Blur's self-titled album from 1997. Another one, an album that's really had a lot of exposure, but the main hit on this album I've really tired of. You Shook Me All Night Long by ACDC from Back in Black. There is not a day you can turn on classic rock radio and not hear this song within an hour. And maybe it was good, maybe the first couple hundred times, but can't listen to it anymore, and I just skip that track. I love kind of more the deep tracks on here, like Let Me Put My Love Into You, Shake a Leg, Have a Drink on Me, What Do You Do for Money, Honey. A lot of the songs on here have been overplayed. Let's face it, Back in Black, Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, but You Shook Me All Night Long definitely takes the cake for overplayed songs, and that is a skip for me. Back in Black from ACDC, 1980. Another one is, I love this album, but another one has suffered from too much exposure and I have to press it, is I Want You to Want Me, the live version off of Cheap Trick Live at Budokan. Probably their biggest hit in the US at least, and probably their most overplayed track. But the rest of the album I still love. I think it has the definitive version of Surrender on it. Some of these tracks are just kick-ass. Come On, Big Eyes, Need Your Love. This is kind of the edited version of this. A long, uncut version was released in I believe the late 90s, which has like Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace from Terry Reid. They do a great cover of that. But they do the whole album. It's all uncut. But there's something cool about this unedited version, the way it flows. But again, I Want You to Want Me, I Never Need to Hear Again, and that one is a skip. And then, of course, we got to throw this one in here. And I got, as much as this album is over-acclaimed to death and overpraised to death, it is a landmark album. And let's face it, there hasn't really been a band like Nirvana that has had the impact on rock since. And this has been like almost 35 years since. So, Nevermind by Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit, another one I can't really listen to. Once in a while, if I want to hear just the whole album, like, you know, in its entirety, I'll play the whole track, the whole album. But usually when I put this album on, I start right off with In Bloom, Onward. And you know, there are other hits on here that have had a lot of airplay, like In Bloom, Come As You Are, Lithium, but I still love those tracks. I was one of those people that didn't buy into the Nirvana hype when this album first came out. I thought, I was playing out live with my band in the day, and I heard a lot of bands that sounded like Nirvana, but it took me a while to realize that Nirvana actually had songwriting chops. I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit. I saw the debut of the video on 120 Minutes. I thought the video was cool, but the song didn't do anything for me. I could see why, though. It was such a big deal for the Generation X crowd, and I mean, it really was nothing like anything that was heard on MTV, and it was really a game changer. But man, it has been played to death, and I think it's my least, and it has always been my least favorite song on this album. There are so many other great songs. For instance, On a Plane, Lounge Act, Stay Away, Drain You, Polly, Breed. All those tracks, in my opinion, are way better than Smells Like Teen Spirit. So that one, I just start the album with In Bloom and play the rest of the album all the way through. So that Smells Like Teen Spirit is an absolute skip for me. And then Steely Dan, they have a lot of hits that have been overplayed. I love all their albums. I mostly love their deep cuts. I love this album. This is their last album from their first period, from 1970 to 1980. The album is called Gaucho. I never need to hear Hey 19 again, though. For me, it's like a bottom tier Steely Dan track. It's well written, well produced, but it's a song I skip every time I listen to this album. I'll go Babylon Sisters straight into Glamour Profession and play the rest of the album. So that's another skip, Hey 19. Let me know what songs you skip on classic albums or albums that you love. Let me know in the comments section. As always, thanks for watching. If you dig the content across the channel, press subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It's free. So we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.